that's the thing that we don't take enough notice of, is our industrial heritage and the landscape that it created. We're very good at removing it quickly, as though it's an embarrassment.
I won't change nothing I've done. If my life to come again, I'll still be a miner, because it was absolutely fantastic.
It was a very hard time. It was a very cold winter in Grimethorpe pit yard, and we used to man the pit camp 24 hours. We had quite a lot of support, but we did find a lot of the local people didn't come into the pit camp, but we got a lot of the children. They used to come and sit round the brazier and spend a night with us. It was a hard time, and of course there wasn't that thing about us being actively involved in soup kitchens or anything like that. We were just at the pit camp, but it was a good time.
And too many people knew. That's why we didn't tell anybody when we were going down Parkside. And we set off at dead of night, got down, got wire cutters, cut out fence. We're going through to go down with knapsacks and all sorts. And security come round the corner, somebody tipped them off. Well, they got older, runners all, and they got me. And they were struggling with me, and I was trying to get away from them, fighting like them anyway. I managed to get away just before police come.
We'd arranged a getaway car just in case, so they knew where the car was, so that they could run. And as they went off one way, police cars came in this way, and me and Elaine were sat round Brazier, and they came bouncing down, you know. What's going on here? You know, why, what's all? What's happened? You see now? No, I have. What's happened? He says, I hope you'll know that we've come from a serious fight in Cudworth to come here. Elaine says, well, didn't you know we started it before we came here? You know. And the question is, you see, Elaine says, I've been here all night, I haven't seen anything. I says, I've just come. I says, I work at Wakefield all 11 o'clock at night. I says, but I get your computer printout tomorrow to prove that I was there, you know. And eventually off they went, you know, left me and Elaine around.
Anyway,
When I was 16, I used to represent the pit on the mastermind competitions. And we got to area finals, which were at Birdwell Club. So being a very naive 16-year-old, I went in with lads, and as I went past, there's old chap sat there drinking, and there's a scab. I can't know what a scab. I was walking past them. I says, what does that mean? They tell me, and I said, but we haven't been on strike. We're talking about 1926. It's Barnsley Main upcast shaft with the winding engine house. This is where all the air came up from the mine. The downcast shaft where the air went down is about 500 metres just behind us over there. We're connected to Grimethorpe underground, where all our coal from Barnsley Main and other mines came out at Grimethorpe to the coal preparation plant, which was one of the biggest in Europe. Right, you see these two stone pillars?
Yeah.
They're on top of two small shafts that used to go down to the Melton Field coal seam. So this is where the original pit was, probably between 200 and 300 years ago,
Yeah.
before Barnsley Main was built. So yeah, so that's the original start of it, and all the mining works would have been at this side.
Right.
And then over a few hundred years, we've got bigger and bigger and sunk this big shaft.
Yeah.
And even bigger one across the road, number 4 shaft. So you can't get the scale of it from what's left. You know, you've got, 10% of what's left of a mine.
So although the church is a community in itself, it's a community that's connected to all the other communities. And then during 92, 93, as we came to the closure, what happened, of course, was that everyone was affected. I remember, I think it was the Christmas of '92. We emptied this church. We took all the pews out, and we had a sort of every kid in Grimethorpe was invited to come and see Father Christmas. And Father Christmas was in a tent here, and we had stalls, and you know, it was quite amazing. Every child in the village got an invitation. We were just trying to do things to make the community feel better about itself.
I worked at Grimethorpe Colliery 35 years. I was a councillor for Barnsley for about 17 years. I was married in 2000. I was very active during mine strike in '84, but there's still quite a lot that's unemployed here. You see, when they did regeneration on Sympathy and all sorts, you go down there, there's a lot of them, they're all Poles, and you know, there's still a lot of people at Grimethorpe haven't got a job, because when they fetch the industry there, they fetch their own people in, they didn't employ people at that time. We used to argue with Yorkshire Forward when they were ploughing money into it, that if they were fetching jobs into Grimethorpe, we wanted Grimethorpe, Cudworth and Knowlton, Darfield, you know, all local communities to get these jobs. It never happened. Only one that does employ a majority of people around here is people from Sash. Oh, I've lived here all my life. It's the best little village this side of the Waddy.
That Inky, a bloody thing like that Baron, well he did, it's like bloody Scargill off in the Eastfield on bloody telly. That was a bloody disgrace, that's what they are. And he's never apologised, that's what kept me.
Well, that was another thing that says, he blowed him out. He blowed him out, Inky, when he made that statement on telly.
Yeah.
But same as Inky, I used to go on Caulfield Community with him.
Yeah.
At meetings, went to all Scotland and all over, but he used to tell me, he says, you were bloody good, Baron. He says, you know, the community spirit's still there.
Yeah, glad to hear that.
What it is, it's just a matter of getting somebody to rally them out.
We organised the meeting point, didn't we, at the Red Room, and we went up and we're like, please let there be there, and we got round the corner and we nearly burst into tears, the families and the kids that were there, and we had St John's ambulance, and we were just overwhelmed that all these families and children were there, weren't we? And the feeling of Myfield children walking and leading the parade through the village was amazing. It was fantastic last year.
The first parade, the gala, we wanted Grimethorpe Band to lead it, or to be on the school grounds to welcome us in.
Makes sense.
And they basically turned around and said they couldn't help us. They couldn't help us, and I said, well, we're a Grimethorpe school. You've got children in our school that's got relatives, uncles, aunties, some connection to your band, and you're telling us no. And then after, they came up to us and said,
How much money?
that will be X amount of money. I says, oh no. I says, we're a Grimethorpe school, you're not getting a penny. I says, no money were mentioned. No, bye. So I don't think we'll get them this year. And I can remember marching through Grimethorpe and feeling really proud. And in effect, with Pitt not being here anymore, kids have been robbed of the jobs. We're not going to rob them of their history, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to put that back and let them feel how we felt, give them some aspiration, because they haven't got it.
We're talking about 400 or 500 ex-miners come here.
Yeah.
From all over the place. Under managers come. General manager, out main pit, he do all us here. And it's all us, that's it, we've got to keep them together.
Yeah.
And that reunion that's going on now, we've done it 20 years, and it's absolutely brilliant.
Well, we've actually visited every school, you know. Me and Johnny Wood took us gear, a lot of mining stuff. We did this school, Myfield, a big school. We talked to them all. And they were great, they were up in Martha, because they didn't even know colour, of course, of them. They didn't know what it was, we asked them, but you know what this is, didn't know. But then when we put pictures up and they were looking round, you heard one little lad scream out, that's my dad, they were saying. Fetched his mates, and this side it weren't, at school. It was lovely, we did it, me and Johnny Wood did it. And it was great. Them kids, they really appreciated what we'd done for them.
We go to Orgreave, Betty and I, every year, and we go and trim up at bottom and put balloons, purple, white and green, for women's movement, and we then go up and go to that bridge where the train goes under, and we decorate up there with balloons and thing. Anyway, this year we decided to, Bridget Bell organised a picnic, so anyway she rung up and see if the Yorkshire Television had come. Anyway, they came but they were late, so I said to him, couldn't you find it? I says, you're late. He says, find it? He says, this place is etched on my brain. I says, what do you mean? He says, well, can you remember that day that the police rioted on pickets? I says, oh, you mean that famous day? He says, yeah. He says, well, he said, we only sent a cub reporter that morning. He says, and we were in this room having a meeting, and this cub reporter rung up and said, get yourselves over here. He says, police and everybody, there's rioting, it's terrible. So he says, we jumped up, and him that's in charge of the reporters sending him, he says, take helicopter. So they run out and got helicopter. Now when they were going in helicopter anywhere and it were planned, they used to put an arm on it so they could sit out and film. Well, the end time they just took it with them. So anyway, they text this helicopter, flew over to Orgreave. Anyway, they landed in a field. So what they did, they had to then put the arm on the helicopter so they could film, but they had to take door off to get arm on. So they put door in corner on this field and went and filmed. And they're filming all over. Well, when they went back, somebody had stole door. So they had to fly back to Leeds with all helicopter up. And when they got back and told him, they went, Barmy, you've lost door.
Some of them stay in the minibus and I'll just go down the road and find what we're doing and where. And I was walking on my own. This is about 5 o'clock in the morning. This big policeman jumped out from behind a hedge and said, where do you think you're going? I said, I'm going down here. He says, no, you're not. Get back up there. I said, I don't want to go back up there. I want to go down there. I'm going down there. He said, if you take one more step, I shall arrest you for unlawful assembly. I said, but officer, the law says. He says, I am the law. I said, exactly. You'll say to me you're going to arrest me for unlawful assembly. When you get me in the cells, it'll be something completely different. And that he just let me go, so we did manage to get through. But we had some fun and games getting onto picket lines sometimes.
He got given a little tricycle.
Yeah.
And he went to nursery after Christmas and they were all asking, what did Father Christmas bring you? And the teacher says to me, he never said a word. So I says to him, Andrew, didn't you get anything for Christmas? He says, yeah. I got a bike from Flying Pickets. And he was just so
He'd been on picket line, he'd had a bit of an heart attack at one of pits at Nottingham, and he couldn't get on picket line, but anyway, this particular morning, this was at 7:20 at morning, his daughter come down. She was only she'd only be 7 or 8 years old. She says, Mr. Whittaker, she says, can you get me dad a bag of coal, my mum a bag of coal? My dad's just died this morning. I says, he just died? She says, he's died this morning, Mr. Whittaker. I thought, lump in my throat. And this is what nobody knows to this day, how many people died, miners died during that strike. And how many marriages were broke up? Well, we know that.
The strike did not cause my divorce. The strike made it possible. Yes. And mine mainly was because my ex had always told me I was thick, I was stupid, I didn't understand anything. And during the strike, as you know, we went out speaking all over, even abroad. And I used to go in the universities to speak, and I used to think, I know as much as some of these here, and they're supposed to be intelligent. So I decided once the strike was over, I was going to get some education. And I went to college for 2 years. And at the end of it, I was determined to go back and work in the community. But I got dragged in the system and I went to uni. And, you know, I achieved that through Women Against Pit Closures, the political education I'd had during the strike. And I knew then that I didn't have to be browbeaten. And I got freedom through education as well.
Wow.
I tell you something else has happened this strike that really got up my nose. We managed to get a bus load. We got a few, only a couple of pound a man. We went to a rally in London. We took us banner, and I got them out at. We got banner up, and it says, "But what about some?" I said, "Well, all I can tell you," he says, "with money you've got, is the McDonald's just passed it around there." I said, "At least you get something to eat." So I don't know what made me go, but we got everything ordered, and I went round to see. And when I went down, I could hear them playing hell out. I thought, "Oh, what the hell's up now?" Because I knew that our London would get picked up like that. And I said, "What's up?" He said, "Look, right in front of McDonald's up the window, no striking miners served here." I thought, "Oh, McDonald's." And I looked at it, I thought, "What the bloody, where the bloody hell we go in here?" What have they, there's these lads done wrong to them, McDonald's. And that's what it was, in big letters, no striking miner. I said, "Come away." They were going to put windows. I said, "Get away." Off you go.
So wonder they didn't put windows.
But I'll tell you something now. I've never been in the McDonald's since.
Striking miners.
And I went and out to the way, and as far as I'm concerned, if they burnt them all down tomorrow, I'll be happy. But I can never forgive that. Never. In 1,000 years will I forgive that. What had them miners done to them McDonald's?
I got a phone call to go to Oxford Theatre. There's though this big knob from Brazil come in. He will gain funds from Brazilian students from the university. And I got up and he says, he couldn't speak English, but I was talking, you know, and I was absolutely terrified. It was absolutely packed. I thought, God, what have I got to say? Anyway, I just tell him the truth. Anyway, it went quite quiet. Never got a clap in a note. And I'm stood there holding this mic there, and I'm like that. Anyway, she come to me, and then he got up and he said something in Brazil like to them all. Anyway, they all started clapping, you know. Anyway, this Lolo now is president of Brazil. He finally met him, and I've got a photo on him on stage with Marie and this merchant banker, haven't I? So he's got this badge. So he's talking to me, you know, I couldn't understand the word he was on about, but she was interpreting what he was saying. She says, "Oh, this bag's for Arthur Scargill. He's meeting him tomorrow." She says, "You deserve that better than him." And I've still got that badge.
30 years on turning about for whole face, Grimethorpe. And they're marvellous, absolutely marvellous. I can't explain to you, no one can believe that there's a go down there with pitch black, no toilets, no nothing, just, and to work and for people, comradeship and all, it's absolutely fantastic.
We are women, we are strong, we are fighting for our lives, side by side with our men who work the nation's mines, united by the struggle, united by the past, and it's here we go, for the women of the working class.
Okay,